My name is Audrey King. I'm 31, and I like my life measured, scheduled, and controlled. Color-coded calendars, perfectly timed coffee breaks, spreadsheets that map out everything from rent to groceries. Life makes sense that way. But my family has never cared about sense. They care about appearances, expectations, and who looks the busiest at the dinner table. I work nights at a plastics factory, 12-hour shifts, steel-toe boots, earplugs, and the smell of melted resin that sticks to your clothes even after 2 washes. I fix things. If something breaks, they call me. If someone needs a ride, they text me. If there's a holiday, I watch the kids. I'm dependable, invisible, taken for granted. It started years ago with my sister Jessica. "You don't have kids, so it doesn't matter," she said, handing me her diaper bag like it was nothing. Everyone laughed. I smiled. That's what I do. Now I'm the middle child, the one who shows up early, stacks chairs, and gets told, "You're so reliable," which in family code means we can use her. My brother, Nathan, and Jessica, they have their routines. Parents hovering over the background, approving of appearances, not gratitude. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, birthdays that stretch into entire weekends, they all end up being mine. Mom's door opens. Jessica drops 3 kids, Nathan 2. I become a coat rack with a pulse. "You're so good with them," Mom says. "You've got the patience." I do, I guess. I can rock a baby with one arm while stirring mashed potatoes with the other. I can untangle a kite string while answering a 6-year-old's question about dinosaurs. I breathe through tantrums like weather that will pass. But that year, at Christmas, Jessica leaned in while I was wiping applesauce off the high chair and whispered, soft and casual, "We were saying you should just plan to do all holidays. Easier that way. You don't have kids, so it doesn't matter." Something clicked in my chest. Not loud, just a small switch I hadn't noticed before. I looked at the reflection of the tree lights in the oven door. My knuckles were cracked from overtime. The youngest started crying for a blue cup, not the green one. Nathan bumped my shoulder on his way to the living room. "You're a lifesaver, Jules." I didn't say anything. I finished loading the dishwasher, folded 3 tiny sweaters, smiled for the photos. On the drive home, the road empty, the night hard and quiet, the words kept looping. "You don't have kids, so it doesn't matter." I had been the family babysitter since I was 22. "Just this once" turned into every holiday. "You're so good at this" turned into a silent expectation. No one ever asked if I needed anything in return. If I said I had a shift, they said, "You can swap." If I said I needed sleep, they said, "You nap when the kids nap." If I said nothing, they assumed yes. Jessica is the planner, sending group texts like a project manager. "Sunday lunch, 1 p.m. Audrey, you'll do kids' table." Nathan is the fun dad. Arrives late, leaves early, posts selfies with captions like, "Family first." Mom and dad run commentary from the background. "Your sister's got her hands full. Your brother's business is stressful. You're so flexible, Audrey. Bless you." 3 summers ago, I was saving for a better apartment. Rent $1,050. Take home barely covered it. Car needed a new timing belt. Overtime, extra shifts, skipping vending machine lunches. Then Jessica called. "Weekend wedding, no kids. Please, please, we'll be back Sunday morning." Automatic yes. Friday evening, they dropped 3 kids with duffel bags and a list. Bedtime routines, snacks, rules. Saturday night, baby fever. 3-year-old vomiting on my couch. Bathroom floor, 2:30 a.m. Calm voice I didn't know I had. Sunday noon, tan lines, tousled hair, big smiles. "You're the best, Audrey," Nathan said. They handed me a Starbucks gift card. $25. I told myself it was fine. Family helps family. When I added it all up over 12 months, 29 full days, 14 half days, 7 late nights, total hours, 326. If I'd been paid even 12-hour, that was $3,912. That year, my savings account ended with $143. Then my building sold. Rent jumped to $1,250 with 30 days' notice. Numbers didn't work. I swallowed my pride and called Jessica. "Hey, my lease is ending. Can I crash for a week while I find a new place?" She hesitated. "Oh, Audrey, we don't have space, baby's cribs in the office, plus routine. Nathan, man, I wish kitchen renovation. Dust everywhere. You wouldn't be comfortable. Mom, you're a grown woman. We raised you to be independent. You'll figure it out. You always do. I slept in my car 2 nights, then a motel, then a studio. Mold in the bathroom. 4 boxes, a mattress on the floor. My first night, Jessica texted, "Congrats. By the way, can we drop the kids Saturday? Brunch 10 to 2. My eyes burned. I typed no, then erased. I can't. Erased. Okay. Erased again. Saturday became 9:15 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. They forgot the diaper bag. Nathan arrived with iced coffees. "You're a rock star." I wasn't. I was just tired. The pattern continued. I said I had plans. They said it won't take long. I said I needed sleep. They said we'll be quick. Once I woke to a knock, 2 kids and a note on a paper plate, back by 5TX. No signature. Ownership assumed. I started writing things down. Date, drop-off time, pickup, miles, snacks bought. Maybe for proof. Maybe to convince myself I wasn't crazy. The first night I lost my old apartment key, I laughed on the car seat. Not happy, just, this is it. 2 months later, the studio felt like home. I bought a secondhand table, hung a curtain, changed phone vibrations for family texts. For the first time in years, I could say, "Sorry, I'm busy," and mean it. That Saturday, 8:03 a.m., Jessica was due at 10. I typed, "No." 3 dots. "Haha, funny. See you at 10, she replied. I made coffee, watched steam curl, ignored the vibration. Feet on my stairs at 10:12. Jessica, stroller, diaper bag, smiling. Nathan still in the ignition downstairs. Costumes everywhere. A cape, a tutu, a dinosaur tail. Breezy, back at 2, maybe 3. Brunch has bottomless. "No," I said, "not today. Not anymore." Nathan out of breath. "Dude, we're late. Just take them. We'll be quick." I asked for 1 week when I lost my place. I said my voice was calm. No one had space. Not one night. Not even a blow-up mattress. I stepped back. Laid out a single sheet of paper. Date, start, end, hours, notes, total. Bottom line, total value of my time over 2 years. Jessica squinted. "What is this?" An itemized record, 2 years, 178 drop-offs, 412 hours, snacks, diapers, gas. I'm not asking for payment. I'm asking for boundaries. From now on, if you need childcare, we agree on terms. Rates, overtime, late fees. Simple, clear, no arguments. Nathan's mouth fell open. Mom came to the stairwell, lips pressed tight. "This is ungrateful." I met her eyes. "When I asked to stay 1 week, you said we don't enable grown women. I matter." The kids behind the doorway lined up like a small parade. I bent to fix a sock. Habits die slowly, but some boundaries are permanent. And for the first time, I felt unafraid. The morning after I set my boundaries, the apartment was quiet. Too quiet. No toddlers pounding on the floor. No stroller wheels squeaking across the linoleum. No group chat blowing up with requests. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the steam curling from my coffee mug. I felt a strange mix of triumph and apprehension. Triumph because I had finally drawn a line. Apprehension because, in my family, boundaries were often treated like suggestions, not rules. Within 10 minutes, the group chat lit up. Mom, I can't believe you embarrassed us like that. Nathan, way to make things harder. Jessica, you could have given a heads up. My phone buzzed again. I put it on, do not disturb. For the first time in years, I slept without interruptions. I slept 4 hours of real sleep, the kind where you wake up and don't feel like you've been running a marathon you didn't sign up for. But freedom was still fragile. That week, small attacks came like ripples on water. Jessica posted a vague status. Some people forget where they come from. Nathan called twice and hung up twice without leaving a message. Mom cornered me in the grocery store aisle by the rotisserie chickens. "You always were sensitive," she said. I laughed quietly, almost to myself. It sounded normal. Strange how simple laughter could feel like rebellion. At work, I took the weekend overtime. Standing on the factory line, listening to the hiss and clatter of the machines, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. A weekend that belonged to me. I went home aching, happy, ate pasta at midnight, watched a dumb movie. No strollers, no crying, no small humans demanding my energy, just me. It was fleeting, of course. Jessica texted me 2 days later. We need to talk. I wrote, okay, my place, Thursday at 6. She replied, I can't do nights. I countered, Saturday, 11. She agreed. When she arrived, she came with a notebook like she was negotiating a raise. No kids, just her. She sat at my secondhand table, looked at the shimmied leg, then at my face. We didn't know you were keeping track. I had to, I said. Otherwise, I was just a feeling. Feelings are easy to argue with. Numbers aren't. She nodded slowly, eyes wet. I want to say I'm sorry, but I'm also mad. You can be both, I said. She exhaled, looking down at the sheet of paper. This feels cold, like a contract. Contracts aren't warm, they're clear, I said. Her finger lingered on the late fees line. This is petty, she said. I smiled faintly. It's not petty. It's about me getting my life back. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time in years. How long have you felt used? I thought about saying 9 years, but I didn't. A while. Her lips pressed together. We sat in silence for a long moment, the quiet punctuated by distant traffic and the hum of my fridge. We say you don't have kids, so it doesn't matter because we're tired. But it was lazy and cruel, she admitted. I shook my head, small, almost imperceptible. Do you hate me? No, I said. I love you. That's why I'm stopping this. She signed the paper. I signed mine. We shook hands like strangers, but it felt right. Nathan didn't come to the apartment. He sent texts instead. Firecrackers of rage and sarcasm. Insane. Selfish. You'll die alone. Then a meme about cats. I didn't respond. When he finally called, I let it ring out and texted, happy to talk when you can speak respectfully. His reply, LOL. I took it as a no. 2 weeks later, Jessica tested the line. She arrived on time. Paid. Kids ran around my living room like tornadoes. When she left early, I still charged for 2 hours. She laughed. Okay, accountant. Nathan tried a surprise drop-off the next Sunday. I didn't answer the door. Texted, unconfirmed, not available. He called 10 times. I ignored it, made pancakes. Later, I found out he called me heartless at the family table. Mom nodded. Dad said nothing. For the first time, I felt that life could exist beyond their demands. Quiet moments, paid babysitting, weekends that weren't borrowed or stolen. I bought a rail bed frame, fixed the bathroom fan, mold stopped blooming. I took walks after night shift, watched the sky change from gunmetal gray to pale daylight. No stroller, no tiny fists knocking on the door, just me, just my breath, just the slow, satisfying pulse of autonomy. And the math started to feel like air instead of water. One Saturday, 2 hours babysitting for Jessica paid for my bus pass. One Friday overtime, all my groceries. My time mattered, my life counted. Even getting sick didn't break me. I had a flu that flattened me for 3 days. Texted family chat. Down for the count, do not drop kids here. Someone sent a laughing emoji. I ignored it. Slept, sweated it out, made toast when I could, and it was mine. At church on Easter, I sat in the back. Mom looked over her shoulder 3 times. You could sit with us, she said. I like it here, I replied. You're breaking your father's heart, she said. I looked at Dad, laughing in the parking lot with a friend. He looks fine, I said. No arguments, no guilt. Just me learning that my life, my decisions, my boundaries, they mattered more than performing the role she wanted me to play. For the first time in years, I wasn't invisible, and I liked it. Weeks passed, and my apartment became a quiet fortress. Each item, my secondhand table, the shimmied leg, the mattress I'd worked to elevate, was a statement. This is mine. I decide. I slept without interruptions, worked without guilt, and for the first time, I felt the space to breathe. But my family never lets things settle. One Saturday morning, a knock at my door jolted me awake. I checked the clock. 8:05 a.m. A usual delivery? No. I opened the door to find Jessica standing there, diaper bag slung over her shoulder, stroller in tow. Nathan lingered behind her, slightly out of breath, keys still in the ignition. Breezy, we'll be back at 2, maybe 3. Brunch has bottomless. No, I said, flat even. Not today, not anymore. Nathan laughed, incredulous. Dude, we're late. Just take them, quick. I held my ground. 1 week, I had begged for a place to stay and was refused. 1 week, no compromise. I wasn't budging now. I stepped aside, letting them see the table, laid out on it, a single sheet of paper, columns filled with dates, hours, notes. At the bottom, the bold total of 412 hours, all meticulously logged. Jessica's eyes narrowed. What is this? An itemized record. 2 years, 178 drop-offs, 412 hours, snacks, diapers, gas. I'm not asking you to pay. I'm asking for boundaries. If you need childcare from today onward, we agree on terms. Rates, overtime, late fees. If I say no, it's a complete sentence. Nathan's jaw dropped. Mom appeared at the stairwell, lips pressed tight. This is ungrateful. When I asked to stay 1 week, I said calmly, you said we don't enable grown women. I matter. The kids were lined up behind the doorway, costumes askew, socks missing. I bent to fix one. My voice stayed steady, even as my pulse raced. Habits die slowly, but boundaries can be permanent. Nathan muttered something under his breath. Jessica's eyes glistened with unshed tears. So what, you're done with us? No, I said. I'm done being free labor. Mom, Nathan started. I can come in and feed the kids breakfast while you figure out new plans, I said. Or you can take them with you. Either way, they are not staying here today. Silence. Then Nathan grabbed the dinosaur backpack, slung it over his shoulder. Fine, he said. We'll figure something out. Jessica hesitated, turned the stroller. Mom didn't say goodbye. Their footsteps faded. I closed the door, trembled slightly, made coffee, sat. For the first time in years, the apartment felt like home. The group chat erupted again. Mom, I can't believe you embarrassed us. Nathan, you're insane. Jessica, we just needed a heads up. I put the phone on Do Not Disturb. Slept 4 hours. Real sleep. Over the next week, the consequences rolled in. Jessica followed the new rules. She arrived on time, paid for hours. Kids ran around, chaos controlled, laughter unpressured. Nathan tried a surprise drop-off. I didn't answer. Charged my phone in another room, made pancakes. He took them to Mom and Dad. Later, I heard he called me heartless. Mom nodded. Dad stayed silent. My life, for the first time, had space. Space to work, space to rest, space to simply exist without being used as a human placeholder. I fixed small things around the apartment, like a bathroom fan and a wobbly table leg. I took walks after night shifts, watched the sky shift from gunmetal gray to soft dawn. Even the flu that hit me a few weeks later couldn't break me. I texted the family chat. Down for the count. Do not drop kids here. Someone responded with a laughing emoji. I ignored it. Slept, sweated it out, made toast when I could, and it was mine. At church on Easter, Mom looked over her shoulder 3 times. You could sit with us, she said. I like it here, I replied. You're breaking your father's heart, she said. Dad was laughing in the parking lot with a friend. He looks fine, I whispered to myself. For the first time, my life belonged to me. My time, my energy, my decisions, they were no longer theirs to command. Jessica tested the new rules, arrived on time, paid, followed the schedule, kids happy, chaos contained, boundaries respected. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the family's response shifted. My resistance, once met with ridicule and anger, was now met with grudging acknowledgement. I wasn't invisible anymore. I wasn't a default setting. I wasn't the background labor that everyone assumed I would be. I was Audrey King, a woman who showed up for herself first, who finally treated her time as valuable, who finally recognized that you don't have kids, so it doesn't matter was a lie that had made their lives easier and mine smaller. And I refused to carry it anymore. Life finally had a rhythm that wasn't dictated by my family's whims. I woke when I wanted, worked when I wanted, and most importantly, I was no longer their default babysitter. Yet, even with boundaries firmly in place, the emotional weight of my family's expectations lingered like a shadow. It was during one of these quiet mornings that I felt the soft buzz of my phone. A message from Liam, my boyfriend of 3 years. Coffee later? I have news. Liam. Calm, grounded, the one person in my life whose presence never demanded more than I could give. I smiled. He was a constant amidst the chaos. When he arrived, he carried that nervous energy that only surfaced when something serious was about to happen. His hand brushed mine as he set down his coffee. "Hey," he said, trying for casual, "I ran into Emma." My stomach clenched. Emma, Liam's ex-girlfriend. Polished, effortless, the kind of woman who made it impossible for me not to feel a little insecure. "Emma?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "Yeah, she asked about us. About you." His eyes were honest, worried. "She wants to meet, just to talk." I felt the familiar tug of irritation, but also a tiny spark of curiosity. Why now? Why would she, after all this time, suddenly care? "And you want to?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "No," he said firmly. "I told her I wasn't interested, but—" His voice faltered slightly. "I wanted you to know." That simple gesture, telling me before I heard it from someone else, was proof of his loyalty. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling of tension that came with the mention of her name. Later that week, our routine was interrupted by a subtle, creeping chaos. My family's reaction to my new boundaries. Jessica was cooperating, Nathan was sulking, Mom was simmering. And through it all, Liam watched silently, offering comfort when I needed it and silence when I didn't. "I can't believe they'd treat you like that," he said one evening, holding my hand. "You're not responsible for their chaos." "I know," I whispered, "but it's exhausting. The constant tension, the guilt trips." He leaned closer. "Then let's make our own rules. Just us. No guilt, no expectations. Just us." For the first time in years, I felt the weight of my own life as something separate from my family. A life where love wasn't transactional, where loyalty didn't mean sacrifice of self. But the peace was fragile. One afternoon, Jessica sent a message asking if I could cover a few extra hours while she attended a last-minute work meeting. My first instinct was to say no. My boundaries had been hard-earned, but something about the phrasing made me hesitate. "Please, Audrey, you're the only one I trust with this." I typed a reply, paused, deleted it, and typed another. Finally, I pressed send. "I can do it, but the contract applies. Payment upfront, overtime if it runs late." She responded immediately. "Fine, thanks." I smiled faintly. My rules held. My power was intact. Later, Liam arrived with dinner, a silent anchor in the storm of my life. As we sat eating on the floor, the dim light casting soft shadows across my tiny apartment, I realized something vital. Boundaries weren't just about my family. They were about protecting the people I loved too, protecting the fragile trust between me and Liam, between me and myself. "You're handling this beautifully," he said quietly, eyes searching mine. "It doesn't always feel beautiful," I admitted. "Sometimes it feels lonely." He reached across the table, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. "Lonely isn't the same as powerless. You're choosing what belongs to you, Audrey. That's rare." And in that moment, I realized something else. Love wasn't about giving everything until you were empty. It was about sharing, about boundaries, about trust. Liam understood that, and for the first time in years, I felt safe letting someone in without fear of being used. But life had a way of testing even the strongest boundaries. One Saturday, Emma showed up unexpectedly at Liam's office, supposedly seeking closure. He called me immediately, hands shaking slightly, voice tense. "Audrey, she's here. I didn't expect her, but she wants to talk. Should I?" I took a deep breath, reminding myself of the strength I'd cultivated over the past months. "You set the boundary," I said. "Tell her no if it doesn't feel right. Don't give her power over us." He smiled, relief washing over him. "You're right, always right." And just like that, I realized that my family's manipulations had taught me something invaluable. Boundaries weren't walls. They were shields, tools to protect myself and the people I cared about. Liam, my partner, my anchor, he was part of that shield now. And unlike my family, he respected it. For the first time, I felt an unshakable sense of clarity. Love could be strong without being oppressive. Loyalty could coexist with independence. And I was no longer the invisible background player in anyone's story, especially not my own. Months had passed since I first laid down the rules. Each Saturday, each request, each text from Jessica or Nathan was met with clarity, not instinctive obedience. My apartment smelled like coffee and the faint residue of resin from my night shifts. It was a life built slowly, deliberately, on my terms. Liam had become a consistent presence. Our evenings together were calm, grounded, and free of the tension that had defined my past. He never tried to overstep, never pushed me to compromise. Our love felt mutual, unburdened by expectations, a quiet rebellion against the chaos my family once imposed. But the final test came unexpectedly. Mom cornered me at a local market, a gentle but urgent tone in her voice. "Audrey, can we talk? Alone?" I nodded, cautious but willing. We walked to a quiet corner, away from the aisles of fresh produce. I understand now," she said, eyes misted. "You've been treated unfairly, and I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Her words were soft, but there was weight behind them. No lectures, no guilt trips, just acknowledgement. "Thank you," I said, letting the long-held resentment dissolve slightly. "I don't need apologies to move on, but hearing it helps." "We just didn't know how much we were asking of you," she admitted. "And I can see now that saying, yeah, you don't have kids, so it doesn't matter, was cruel." I nodded. Recognition at last. I didn't need a full reconciliation, not a performance of family unity. I needed acknowledgement that my life, my choices, my time, my boundaries mattered. And for the first time, they did. That evening, Liam and I walked through the city streets, lights reflecting in puddles from a recent rain. He held my hand loosely, comfortably, as if he'd always understood the importance of letting me lead my own life. "You've changed everything," he said softly. "Not just your boundaries, everything about us." "I've had to," I replied. It wasn't optional anymore. I needed to claim my life, or it would have been dictated forever by everyone else. And he smiled, the kind of smile that made it clear he had no intention of asking me to give up that claim. The next week, Jessica texted, straightforward, "Can you cover the kids next Saturday? I'll pay extra, of course." I paused, then typed, "Yes, with terms applied." My rules held. My power remained intact. Nathan tried a surprise drop-off one Sunday. I didn't answer. I focused instead on quiet coffee, on a book, on the soft morning light falling across my floor. When I finally checked my phone, a string of frustrated texts awaited. I didn't respond. Not today. Not anymore. Even the small things became victories. Fixing a shelf, cooking dinner without interruptions, watching the sky turn from night to dawn without a single knock at my door. These were acts of rebellion and restoration simultaneously. I wasn't angry. I was free. One night, Liam and I sat on the floor of my apartment eating takeout. I glanced around at the small space that was mine entirely, at the tiny symbols of autonomy, the table, the mattress, the secondhand chair with its shimmied leg. Everything spoke of a life I had fought to reclaim. "You've built something incredible here," he said, voice low. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," I admitted. "For the first time, I feel like my life belongs to me, not my family, not anyone else." He took my hand. "And you deserve every bit of it." Weeks later, Jessica arrived for a scheduled drop-off, cash in hand, a polite smile on her face. She left on time, the kids happy, the house intact. Nathan stopped calling so frequently, stopped sending passive-aggressive texts. Mom and Dad, while still occasionally hovering, now acknowledged my life as separate, my choices as valid. It was not about revenge, not about proving them wrong. It was about me, claiming my time, my energy, my love, setting rules, enforcing them, living within them. Boundaries had transformed my existence. And in that clarity, in that quiet, I realized the truth. Life didn't have to be chaotic. Love didn't have to be draining. Family didn't have to be a constant test. I was Audrey King, 28, determined, unyielding, finally in control of my story. Saturdays were invitations, not summons. Holidays were plans, not obligations. Love was mutual, not transactional. Boundaries were respected, and I was finally seen, not as the background, not as default labor, not as the one who always said yes. I brewed my coffee that morning, watching the steam curl in the sunlight. Liam kissed my temple softly. The apartment smelled like home. And for the first time in years, my life was mine, completely, unapologetically, beautifully mine. The old lie, "you don't have kids, so it doesn't matter," had lost its power. I no longer carried it. I no longer accepted it. I no longer let anyone shrink my life to fit their convenience. I sipped my coffee, smiling faintly, the quiet contentment settling deep in my chest. I had learned the hard way that boundaries aren't cold, they're survival, they're love, and they are freedom.